I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
This is another request for, this time for Andrew Chilton. Thank you so much for that. If anyone's interested in requesting pretty much any type of video, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both things are down below in the info box. It may be a while before I get to it because I'm fairly backed up because the freaking week of no power and water. Thank you, Texas, because they don't know what the hell winter is. What's cold? What's this thing called snow? Well, you don't have water or power for a week. And a week is a lot of, so anyway. Still trying to catch up with this, so I apologize. Now I'm about a minute in. The Rum Diary is the film for today. Now I heard about this film because it's once again based on a Hunter S. Thompson novel. Just like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which Johnny Depp was also in. That was directed by, oh my god, Brazil, Time Bandits, Terry Gilliam. And I love Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I would say that's actually my favorite Terry Gilliam film, and one of my favorite Johnny Depp films, because I love how crazy, weird, vivid, eccentric, visually interesting, fairly original in its visuals, but also kind of told the same story as this film does. Now, going into this, I knew it would not be that crazy. I knew it wasn't going to be that zany, that eccentric. It's much more straightforward. It's much more, I guess the best way to put it, imagine if Fear and Loathing Las Vegas is if you're on acid. This is more like, you're drunk on rum. And I kind of prefer the acid trip more than this. Because this, at the end of the day, I think Johnny Depp had his heart in the right place. In a way, it's kind of playing the character he played in Fear and Loathing. But imagine if it was like 10, 15 years before, as before he became crazy. He's much more normal. And technically it's not the same character, it's a different character name. But you tell Johnny Depp is playing a more sane version of the character in Fear and Loathing, which both cases are kind of a version of Hunter S. Thompson. But this is much more, honestly, I thought it was more bland and plain. And that's kind of how I thought of the film. It was a very bland, plain version of Fear and Loathing. And that's why at the end of the day, I wasn't really a fan of it. I know that's not fair, but as I'm watching the film, I didn't feel it was a story that justified being told. I know it's based on Hunter S. Thompson. I know he passed away. May he rest in peace. It's dedicated to him at the end. But I just kind of sat there and went, what it's trying to say, I got out of Fear and Loathing, but Fear and Loathing just much more interesting, entertaining, crazier movie. Because in this one, instead of going to Las Vegas, here, this character, yeah, it's a different character, but I did think of a more sane version of that. I even forgot his character's name in this. But he goes to Puerto Rico, to work for a newspaper, but the newspaper's on his last legs. He meets some out of there folks. He meets a guy that's this close to Dr. Gonzo. I didn't imagine a more sane version of Benicio del Toro's character in Fear and Loathing. That's kind of what this guy made me think of. They also meet people like Giovanni Ribisi, who's talking kind of like he's Nick Nolte after a few. Also meets Aaron Eckhart, who pulls Johnny Depp into this real estate scam. And it was also weird to watch this because you have Amber Heard, where the two of them, she's with Aaron Eckhart, but ultimately falls in love with Johnny Depp. I say weird because you know, but if you don't know, the whole Johnny Depp, Amber Heard accused Johnny Depp of abuse, but then the more evidence you saw and hear, the more that Amber Heard is the real abuser. People say it's both of them, but I don't know, what I've seen and what I've read and what I've noticed, it seems more like Amber Heard. In fact, I forget what interview it was. There was a producer, I think it was on the channel Popcorn Planet, the YouTube channel. It was a producer, or a writer, not producer, a writer who works in Hollywood. And it's like, yeah, I've talked to people who worked with Amber Heard, and they say she's an evil person in real life. Like, Amber Heard is an evil person that want to, if you're a white guy, want to destroy you. Now, granted, that's his views, that's what he heard. But I mean, from what I hear and what I see, sees more than likely, but was I there 100%? I don't know. So that's really, it's weird watching this with that in mind. And does that mean the movie has no merit? No, Johnny Depp I thought did fine. I mean, if your problem with Fear and Loathing was you hated how crazy it was, maybe this would be more your kind of movie, because it's a much more straightforward flick. Granted, it's about 2 hours long. I thought the story meandered. Kind of like, where is this going? You could say the same thing for Fear and Loathing, but at least it had the craziness, the insanity. Yeah, I still got the same meaning that I did in this. With this, Aaron Eckhart, his character is a PR consultant, but then he pulls Johnny Depp into this real estate scam. And Johnny Depp sees Aaron Eckhart's girlfriend, Amber Heard, and ultimately a little bit of a love story breaks out. But it's not as much of a love story as you would think. It's more about him just being in this area. And either Giovanni Ribisi, like I say, he has a voice, Nick Nolte, and a deadbeat reporter. He argues with the newspaper editor, Ribisi, going, "You're in a B movie, I am the fucking death machine." So there's some pretty interesting lines of dialogue. "I think we're drinking too much rum. There is no other way." There's a point where him and the wannabe Dr. Gonzo, I forget the character's name, but he just reminded me of a lesser, more boring Dr. Gonzo from Fear and Loathing, where they're at this little outside cafe and they want a steak, and it's like, no, we're not going to serve you. You get the idea, they don't want to serve them because they're outsiders. Ultimately, they leave. There's a little car chase. Johnny Depp has some of the rum, has a little flamethrower, accidentally burns up a cop, gets put in jail. Aaron Eckhart gets him out of jail to continue this real estate scam. And once in a while I got a little smirk out of a piece of dialogue. "How's your afternoon?" "I have written horoscope." And like I said, Johnny Depp is not the problem. He's not. Watching the movie, I just don't get why this was made. Like, what was... I don't want to say what was the point, but what was the justification other than that, hey, Hunter S. Thompson wrote this, maybe Johnny Depp wanted to play that role again. Technically, it's a different character, but sort of be in the same vein, but it is a much less crazy, much less quirky, much more normal version with a little bit of that, I don't want to say accent, but a little bit of that delivery. Sort of before, imagine, like I said, 10, 15 years before the Terror and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas became that, like the more sort of innocent version of it. I just got bored. I got bored fairly quickly with it. Oh, they go to a bar. Amber Heard is dancing with a bunch of guys at the bar. Aaron Eckhart gets pissed. Johnny Depp and the guy has to pull him out. Amber Heard is left in the bar. Johnny Depp tries to go back in. They're like, no, Gringo, you get the fuck out of here. You deaf? We closed. Amber Heard disappears until like almost the end of the film. And then Aaron Eckhart throws her out because she's with Johnny Depp. The paper is closing down. There's one moment where they take hallucinogens and pretty much the wannabe Dr. Gonzo, his tongue CGI like comes out like a lizard and Johnny Depp freaks out. That's pretty much as far as that goes. Johnny Depp's like, no, I don't care if the newspaper is closing down. I'm going to make this story because I want to tell the world about Aaron Eckhart's scam. I want to tell the world our newspaper editor, the stuff he wouldn't say, and he was a chicken shit. A voice made of ink and rage. Yeah, I will try to speak for my reader. That was my promise. And they get money. They don't print the paper. They get there, and all the equipment is gone. And they're like, shit. I guess this is supposed to indicate, okay, this is now the beginning of why this Hunter S. Thompson, that's really who it is. He really is going to go full force as being a writer. It's the smell of bastards. It's also the smell of truth. I smell ink. And something I didn't mention, one of the reasons he went there is that he's a writer, but he's got writer's block, and now finally he has something to write about. Maybe this is his first step into really going full force. And hell, he changed his name so many times. Maybe this could be a prequel to fucking Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, since he changed, the name so many times. Like Hunter S. Thompson would go into places and go by a different name. But that's what I mean, like, I could go watch Where the Buffalo Roam with Bill Murray, which I think is a very underrated Bill Murray film, one of his more underrated films. I could go watch that. Actually, I want to get that on Blu-ray sometime. Where the Buffalo Roam, where he plays Hunter S. Thompson type. Or you can watch Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Like, those are much more entertaining, much more fun, much more funny, in my opinion. And also the oppression of the truth and the way the time was, how information gets discounted and oppressed, and you try to fight it up, and that's not always the best case. What it's trying to say here, I got that in those two films, but again, they were much more entertaining, much more faster paced, much more fun. And again, it's just a very forgettable flick. Unless you're a diehard Johnny Depp fan, you're a diehard Hunter S. Thompson fan. I mean, it's not the worst movie ever, no. I'm not yelling, so I don't know if I'll put rant in the title, because it's not like I'm yelling and screaming and curse up a storm. But I can't sit here and say I liked it much. I mean, it's better than some of the films I've seen this week, but I've seen films like Bigfoot vs. D.B. Cooper and Newty and some other shit. I mean, this is better than those, but... So I did. If you want to see a movie where Johnny Depp and Amber Heard are together, which is weird considering what's going on now, or again, if you're big into Hunter S. Thompson, and you want to see the story of his... I think it's from the director of... Was it Jennifer 8? Like a film from way back in the day, and then the director had not done something in a long time, and I just didn't feel any life brought into it. As I saw the story, I went, maybe it works better on paper than on film. Maybe it just seemed very bland and plain Hollywood type of movie of an author that was nothing like Hollywood. And I do think Fear and Loathing kind of accomplished that, the uniqueness of Hunter S. Thompson, whereas it's very, dare I say, an original movie. Here is kind of blasé, meh. That's just my opinion. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.